Sunshine, the Goddess here. I have a message for those who know, as always. When I was growing up, I didn't really have close relationships with the older females that were around me. I had like one very close mentorship relationship, and she was pretty transparent with me about some of the things that she went through in relationships, like as I got a little bit older. But like as a really young woman, I just didn't really have a lot of women around me, especially ones that were related to me, who were in the cycles that I would be experiencing, to kind of like lace me down with some of the game and tell me about their experiences. And so I really didn't hear like some of the stories about some of the things that my mother went through until I had already gone through them. And I was like, okay, so I was just on a loop of your shit. Okay, cool. And so something that I definitely feel called to do is to just share some of my stories with women who may be experiencing things like things that I've been through in the past, so that you can avoid some of the pitfalls, if you will, and just have some perspectives on the things that you're going through to maybe help you understand why you're going through what you're going through and how you can change your circumstance if that's what you truly desire. And just some different ways that you can learn life lessons. They say that even a fool can learn from his own experiences, but a wise man can learn from the experiences of others. And so it might be some wise people out there that are much more wise than what I was, and you can learn from my experiences if I share them with you. So that is my intention, just trying to send some healing vibes out to my tribe. You know what I'm saying? These are things that you've experienced and you haven't quite healed from them yet. I do have like some different techniques and things that I've used in order to heal that I'll be sharing with you as well. So, again, I'm going to start with my disclaimer of like no hard feelings toward any of the people that I speak about in this video. Like, I don't have nothing but love for the people who were in my experiences. First of all, I don't blame them for any of the things that I experienced. I don't see any of them as an enemy. I see myself as a co-creator with them for whatever circumstances that I was in. I created those circumstances to help my soul learn the lessons that I need to learn while I'm here, so that I can accomplish my purpose. And I don't see any of the individuals as like evil or nothing like that. They're just all representations of energies that I needed in order to accomplish the purpose that I have here on earth, right? So it's no hard feelings. And again, I'll say, hey, if you're uncomfortable with me telling the stories, shouldn't have did the shit. So, and you're always, more than welcome to tell your side of the story. Tag me. You know what I'm saying? Do you? But really, they probably not listening anyway. I just like to get that out there, just because some of the things that have happened are not so pretty, and I would think that if it was me that had done some of those things, I don't know if I would want anybody to tell people, but shit, it is what it is. So my marriage, like the majority of the adult relationships that I had, was a whirlwind romance. We actually met fighting over a parking spot, right? I think I was dropping off my cousin at her house one evening, or coming to pick her up, one of the two, I don't remember. And my ex was parked in a handicap spot. Well, I had a placard to park in a handicap spot. Was it my placard? No, it was not. That's beside the point. I had one and he didn't. So I went and got security and told them that, he needs to move his car because he can't park there. He moved out, they told him to move his car. He ended up moving his car, and when he came back and seen that I was parked there, he kind of yang, started yakking or whatever. And long story short, we ended up like kind of going back and forth. And then I guess, I don't know, that turned me on. I thought they was sexy. We was, attracted to that in one another, and we ended up exchanging numbers or whatever, right? Well, fast forward about, what was that, like 6 months after we met, we was living together, I want to say. And then that following year, we ended up getting married, right? But nah, damn, it wasn't even that long. So we met in he moved in about a year after we met. I take that back. It was about a year after we met that he moved in. But even when he wasn't staying with me, like, we was together a lot. There were some red flags that I definitely ignored. For instance, one of the first times that we were together, I went in the bathroom and there was like obviously a bitch living in the house where, you know what I'm saying, we did our thing. But, you know, of course, I let him give me this long, elaborate story about how she just left and never came back and da 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 da, just left out her shit, didn't make sense. But it was what I wanted to hear, you know, if it, you know what I'm saying, the agenda that I was on to have a man, you know what I'm saying, because I really liked him, I enjoyed his company, I wanted to be with him. I really wasn't worried about the next bitch, just to be quite honest with myself and you all. Um, so here we are, we get married, we end up having a violent separation that ended in him going back to his hometown or whatever, right? And so we decided that we were going to get back together, and I moved out of my hometown to live with him in his hometown. So here we are in this rural city, away, you know, outside of the city, not, you know, living close to his people or nothing like that, thinking, okay, we're going to move on the outskirts of town. I'm not going to have to worry about him being a hot boy. It's going to be all good. Well, in actuality, what was happening is he was isolating me from my family and friends. And that's something that's commonly done when someone has narcissistic traits or suffers from narcissistic personality disorder. And I'm going to do my absolute best not to call him a narcissist or label him as a narcissist, because I do understand that narcissistic personality disorder is a disease, and it's not like something that you need to label someone. It's a trauma response in the same way that my codependency was a trauma response to things that I had been through. So I'm definitely not like shaming him or making him to blame for the situation, because a narcissist needs a codependent in order to display their narcissistic tendencies. They can't just do it with anybody. So there was definitely some trauma responses in me that made me a perfect target for the things that took place. It was my desperation that allowed me to be put in a situation of isolation. So I'm taking total accountability for my shit. That's definitely been like one of the biggest things in my healing process is I don't blame or see myself as a victim. Like, I completely understand that my responses were a result of my trauma that I had experienced early on, and it wasn't his fault or my fault that I was in the circumstance that I was in. It was, you know, just kind of is what it is. But now that I'm a full adult and I can look back and see what behaviors and what attitudes and what ideals led me to being in situations to be abused, I can now avoid that. And so if I'm in those types of situations again, it's on me, you know what I'm saying? And completely on me. But I said all that to say, we were living in a rural city, right? And so we worked opposite one another. I worked in the daytime and he would stay at home with the kids. And then he worked at night and I'd be at home with the kids. So at that time, like, my lifestyle was, work, home, church, home, work, church, home, work, home, church, work, home. Like, that was my life. That was all that I was into at the time. Every now and then, me and him would go out. And when I say every now and then, I can remember like 5 or 6 times, you know, throughout the 3 or 4 years that we were together, that we like went out and just had a good time and, you know, did our thing or whatever. But for the most part, I was at home, at work, or at church. And in the evenings, like, he did security, right? Initially, he was doing, like, you know, parking lots and warehouses and things like that. And then somewhere along the line, he decided that he wanted to do security in the strip clubs, right? And so, important thing to note, like, he had never been faithful to me throughout our marriage. He would tell you that, you know, he had a period where he was faithful to me, but I have like solid concrete evidence that shows otherwise. Even when he wasn't physically cheating, he was emotionally cheating. And it was a choice that I was making to stay in that situation, knowing good and goddamn well he was never going to be faithful to the agreement that he made with me to be monogamous, right? And so I wasn't monogamous. Was I holding up my end of the agreement and being monogamous? Yes, I was. But in my heart, was I monogamous? Is that the type of relationship that I really wanted? No, it was not. So kind of is what it is. You reap what you sow. And one day he came home from the strip club and like he just had a really strong energy on him. And I think it was like one of the first times that I realized that, you know what I'm saying, like he picking up stuff from other women and bringing it back home to me. Like I came into like spiritual awareness of it for whatever reason that evening. And I had this dream, which brings me to, I always pull cards before I start speaking, just to kind of like give me some guidance from, like I said, within myself and within my spirit. And I pulled this right here, this sugar light, and I didn't pronounce it right. But it's basically a dreamstone. So quite interesting, and I'm gonna post this on my Instagram with the description so that you can see more about the crystal. If you want to see it, make sure you follow me on Instagram. But I had a dream, and it was a very, very vivid dream. Now, I'm not one to have a whole lot of dreams and remember them. Like, I probably have like 6 or 7 dreams in my life that I've had over the years that really stand out to me, and I remember like the details of the dream after I woke up, right? Because of course, we all dream every night, but I'm just not one to like retain my dreams as much. And no worries, I have some mugwort on my altar that I will be using in order to help me with my dreams and remembering my dreams, because dreams have some important things. A lot of times though, they are just to discard things from your subconscious, so you shouldn't remember them. But anyway, this is not a conversation about dream work. In this dream that I had, it was a young lady, and she was indicating that she was pregnant by him. And so the next day when he got home, I was sitting out on the porch, and I'm not a morning person, so he should have known it was something wrong with me. And I was sitting out on the porch smoking, and he came home, and I was like, "Who you got pregnant?" You got somebody pregnant. I had a dream last night, and a bitch is pregnant. Okay. Well, needless to say, a few months down the line, it was a bitch who ended up being pregnant or whatever. And I guess I shouldn't be calling the girl a bitch. Well, after you hear the whole story, you might call her a bitch. But anyway, so he ends up getting the girl pregnant, and he left, but not to be with this girl, to be with some other girl. And that was like the end of the story that I was telling y'all last time about how I just had to come and get out my shit because I got to the house and he hadn't paid his half of the rent, didn't say nothing to me. And it's crazy because, like, to this day, he faults me for not getting his things out of the house, not realizing that the majority of the stuff that was in the house I had to sell in order to even get back into the house to get, like, clothes and essentials and stuff. But that's neither here nor there. So he ends up going and live with this other girl, and he got the baby on the way. Well, fast forward to about 2 years later, he didn't have the baby. We didn't got back together, broke up again, and I'm still in his hometown dating or whatever, right? And I meet this guy, and he cool or whatever, and we was sitting outside at a park bench, and it was outside his apartment and in a park bench, and his mom was supposed to be bringing his daughter, so we sitting, just chit-chatting outside, do, and his mom walks up, and she got my stepdaughter with her, and I'm like, how you know my stepdaughter? He's like, this my little girl. And I was like, what do you mean that's your little girl? Like, that's my stepdaughter. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, this my daughter. And he had like some angel wings tatted on his chest or whatever, right? And I remember when the baby was, had a sonogram picture, like it looked like she had a little halo over her head. And which that should have been a sign to me right there that she is my angel that was rescuing me out of that marriage, but my dumb ass got right back into it. Anyway, I told him that he should make the little girl's middle name Angel, right? So they ended up making the little girl. Her middle name was Angel. The nigga got angel wings tattooed on his, chest or whatever. So I was like, oh my God, like, I was just sitting there just looking at him. He was like, what? I was like, that's my stepdaughter. He's like, nah, this ain't the stepdaughter. I got, DNA tests on the baby or whatever. In which the mama, she had like gone through some extreme lengths to not have my ex blood tested or whatever, right? And now I can laugh about it because it's actually a very funny story, and it shows you how small the world is. And it also tells me something important about like energy patterns, right? Because me and this girl who probably seen each other once or twice our whole life are attracted to both of the same men. Like, that's crazy, right? And it helped me to understand that I have like a specific gift as it relates to recognizing energy patterns, right? And attracting certain energy towards me. And at the time, I didn't know how to use none of those gifts, and it was like confusing for me or whatever. But I was also developing those gifts. So, like, by my husband going out sleeping with these other women and bringing their energy back home to me, I have like I'm very well versed in multiple kinds of energy, right? Because I've had those energies brought home to me and attached to me, and I've had to deal with those energies and the things related to those energies. Because when you're a healer and you sleep with people, like, you pick up their energy and you transmute their energy for them. So he was just bringing me all kind of stuff home. And my ex had a thing for like dolphins and shit like that, and bitches who like to pop pills and just all kind of shit, okay? And not judging any of those women or saying anything, negative about them, just that they were having a different experience than what I had growing up, or what I saw for myself, or what, would ultimately be my earth experience. Like, just very different, circumstances than what I was exposed to. So all of the foreign energy that he was bringing home to me was like very wild. I had no idea like what was going on, and some of the thoughts that I was having, and some of the feelings that I was feeling. And like, I would go to church and I would be fine, and I would come home and sleep with my husband, and I would be in a rut. And so it was very confusing for many, 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 many years. So I just want to say, like, to women, like, trust your intuition. And you having a partner who's being dishonest with you and who's going out and sleeping with other people, it's not just lying to you. That is a form of sexual abuse for them to agree to monogamy with you, and then to consistently violate that and bring home other energies to you. Like, that is spiritual abuse, because sex is a sacred spiritual act. And when you have sex with somebody repeatedly, you join your energies to theirs. And so somebody is like throwing off your whole vibration and your frequency by doing that. And you got to love yourself enough to know that you don't deserve that, and that you shouldn't be desperate enough for a relationship to put up with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you poly and y'all got an arrangement and you cool with it, you know what I'm saying? That's you. But somebody shouldn't be lying to you, telling you that they doing one thing and then repeatedly doing something else. You deserve much better than that. You can have much better than that. And when you have a dream and you foresee something, take that warning. Heed the warnings that's in your dream, and don't let anybody deter you from your intuition. Because when I tell you, he argued me down that he wasn't messing with nobody and wasn't nobody pregnant and and then had to come with me with his tail tucked between his legs a couple months later, saying that he had a baby on the way. Mind you, it didn't end up being his baby, but we didn't find that out until 2 years later. You know what I'm saying? Because he screwing a girl. And I mean, she gave him the hell that he deserved, okay? So he definitely got out, the karma that was coming to him in that situation. But I said all that to say that, you know what I'm saying, you have to be very careful when you're dealing with someone who's dealing with other people, and it's out of your knowledge and out of your awareness, because you don't know what other energies are being brought home and attached to you. Like, I was already suffering like from my own depression from the circumstance that I was in. Like, I probably had postpartum depression for many, many years after having my children, and then to, on top of that, be dealing with the energies that he's bringing home from these other females. It was just too much for me. Like, I was wearing myself down emotionally and spiritually. I was going to church. I'm putting out God knows what kind of energy in the environment at church, you know what I'm saying? Be it, unbeknownst to me or unintentional. Like, I still wasn't going in with as much purity as I could have, because I had somebody else bringing me other types of energy that I'm distributing out, at church. But that's a whole nother arena. I just want to encourage anybody that's in a relationship where you're being lied to and cheated on, and you're unhappy. Sis, you don't have to put up with that shit. You can leave and you'll be okay. You can figure out how to take care of yourself. You can figure out where some money gonna come from. But what you don't have to do is subject yourself to abuse for many, 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 many years for the sake of staying with for the kids, or your kids having a father, or none of that. It's not worth your sanity. Like, don't idolize your children in that way. Don't put them before yourself to the point where you're enduring abuse, because at the end of the day, that ends up being worse for your children. So I hope you guys enjoyed story time. It's a very bizarre story, I think, but it is one that helped me to come to a place of self-worth and self-appreciation. First of all, for my gifts, I'm a bad bitch. I be knowing, you know what I'm saying? Like, my intuition is on point, and once I finally learned to follow my intuition, like, you can't tell me nothing. I can get from point A to point B very quickly because I know exactly what steps I need to take, and I will hop on my intuition and do it. And when it comes to my intuition telling me somebody else will fuck shit, I believe it. I don't have to have no evidence to back it up. Like, you spirit, you say, okay, it is what it is. And then later, when confirmation come, it come. But I don't need that in order for me to remove myself from the situation. Like, once I realize that I'm not valued and respected and appreciated, I move out of that situation, and then I evaluate what's in myself where I may be lacking self-appreciation, self-love, self-respect, because I attracted those situations. You know what I'm saying? I definitely have to take accountability for the fact that you attract what you are. Again, I hope you enjoyed the story time. Follow me on Instagram at She Was Sunshine to get the wrap up from the crystals. But that was stories and advice from your fairy god auntie.